night. Here myself, I'm having interrupted sleep, as you see. Dex is doing better. We will see him here on the ceiling. It doesn't matter where you are and where you're wedged in. And our commander having the most relaxed sleep, I think.
When we were all finished at the space station, it was time to come home, and it was a bittersweet day, but we had to get Dan aboard the shuttle and leave Leo behind and close the hatch. One of the things the pilot gets to do, if we have enough propellant, is to fly away from the space station and then do a 360-degree loop around the station to photo document the station and anything that we may have added to it. Here we show some video of Columbus as it's attached to Node 2 and as it sits today. The space station is a big, beautiful place, and it's a very large vehicle. And it's just really amazing to watch as you're flying over the Earth with the space station in the background. And here we are finishing up our fly around of the station, and we're headed home. This is a shot of Dan Tani as he's saying goodbye to his home in space, and he's looking forward to getting home to see his family.
Okay, Rex was supposed to be exercising here, but I don't think this is exercise. I see Rex starting to spin out of control, and as a crew medical officer, I'm saying, watch your head. This is M&M croquet. And here's Stan reaching in, getting a shirt out of his locker. We have all of our personal items stored in the mid-deck lockers, and this is what we use to store things. Rex brushing his teeth, you know, have to keep good hygiene in space. And this was a moment we had to look out the window. All of us were on the flight deck, looking out right before we're coming home. And just a nice group shot. Everyone's ready to come home. And I think Steve's up in the front shooting pictures out the window. But just a great amount of teamwork.
After the games and the camaraderie, it's time for the serious business of coming back to Earth. Here's Steve flying the shuttle landing simulator that runs on one of our portable computers we have on board. Then we have to put on the same orange suits we wore for launch, only this time there's no ground crew to help us get ourselves suited up and strapped in. That's me helping to strap in the crew up on the flight deck as they get ready for the deorbit burn, which is a small adjustment to our orbit that brings our flight path down to graze the upper parts of the atmosphere, and we'll start bleeding off all that speed that we took 8 minutes of rocket thrust to obtain in the first place. Here's the crew waving hi. And that pulsing flame you see out the overhead window there, that's the trail of plasma the shuttle leaves behind it. That trail is several hundred miles long as we punch through the atmosphere at 17,000 miles per hour and start bleeding off that speed.
Well, as we come back in towards the Kennedy Space Center, you can see the orbiter here. It's a picture of Atlantis from the ground. There were twin sonic booms that they always hear on the ground as the orbiter gets closer. We had great weather at Kennedy Space Center. You can see we went through a small cloud deck and then popped out, and the field was right there in front of us. Runway 15 at the Kennedy Space Center, just a few miles from where we took off just 13 days ago. We practiced this many, many times in simulators in our shuttle training aircraft, and it was nice to see that Atlantis flies just as well or better than our simulators. Dex talked me down the whole way, told me where I was, where I needed to be, and we came right down the middle. You can see the runway in the inset there, and it was nice for us to know our families were right there on the left side of the end of the runway waving at us, and they said they could see us in the window as we went by. So we touched down 13 days after we launched. It was honestly a great sense of relief to know that we'd managed to get through the mission, get Columbus installed and activated and ready to go. We took Leo to his new home and brought Dan home to his family after he'd been gone for 4 months. And knowing that we were able to get into space, get the job done, and get home safely. We just had a few more procedures to do to get Atlantis ready to turn back over to the crew at the Kennedy Space Center to get ready for their next mission, change into our flight suits, and then we get a chance to walk out onto the runway, shake hands and say hello to some of the folks that had worked so hard to get Atlantis ready, and we're going to do it again for the fall, and then get a good close look at Atlantis. We'd been trapped, you would basically say trapped inside it for 13 days. All you can see is what you can see out our few windows. And here we get to crawl around underneath and look at the thermal protection system and see how Atlantis fared for its time in space. And it looked just as good as it looked when we launched. We don't necessarily have to land on centerline, but it's good if we end up on centerline. It looks good in the pictures. One last chance to get a few pictures and wave to our friends, and then we headed back, got in a van, and saw our families. And it was a wonderful end to what was just a great mission for all of us. We were very pleased to have the honor to head into space and bring ESA's Columbus module to the space station, bring Leo up and bring Dan home, and we're happy to take any questions anyone might have about our mission. We're not going to make any video game recommendations, by the way. It was just... Anyone? Any questions? Go ahead.
More or landing?
Do I like taking... I definitely like landing more. It's much smoother. As Stan mentioned,